Want a work-from-home medical records job? What about a beginner-friendly HR job? How does a really good-paying entry-level remote job reviewing vendors sound to you? Come with me, we'll get into these jobs. So let's start off with a medical records coordinator position with the company Diverge Health. This job is full-time remote anywhere within the United States. I did not see any location restrictions anywhere on this job description. And what you're going to do is own the end-to-end process of obtaining, organizing, and transferring clinical records from hospitals, physicians, and other healthcare providers into the Diverge Health electronic medical record system, supporting patient-facing teams and delivering timely, high-quality care and securing government benefits for the most complex patients. So yeah, this job is all about gathering and processing medical records. They'd like you to have some experience with organizing complete patient medical histories, including all primary care, specialist, behavioral health labs, and visit notes from all relevant providers. So if you have some experience working in one or more EMR platforms, you can navigate multiple systems efficiently, you're familiar with clinical documentation, medical terminology, or healthcare operations, you have no problem interacting with healthcare administrators and physicians, you have experience with Salesforce or comparable CRM or internal database systems, and you also have an understanding of HIPAA regulations, check out this opportunity. Now, they prefer, but they don't require, they prefer you have experience working in a value-based care, care management, or population health setting. They also prefer you have exposure to referral coordination or patient intake workflows. And whenever I see preferred, that tells me they're just preferred, they're not required qualifications. And as far as the salary, at the bottom of the job description, they tell us they'll pay you anywhere from $26 to $29 per hour. So now let's talk about the beginner-friendly HR position. It comes to us from Mercury Insurance. They have an opening for a talent acquisition coordinator. This job is full-time remote anywhere within the United States. I did not see any location restrictions. And in this job, you'll be responsible for the administration, coordination, and logistics of the recruitment process. You'll support the talent acquisition team by ensuring a seamless workflow and contributing to a positive candidate experience through superior service. So that means you'll support talent acquisition specialists with the coordination and scheduling of phone screens, skills assessment, and interviews with hiring managers and human capital team members. You'll order background checks and substance testing. You also verify employment, check references, those sort of things, and provide new hire packages to candidates, initiating onboarding, ensuring new hire paperwork is signed and returned, and also ensuring employee IDs are generated. You also coordinate and conduct I-9 verifications, manage tracking and reconciliation of vendor invoicing, and organize and update shared folders and documents in SharePoint and Teams. So those are some of the programs they tell us they use in this position, SharePoint and Teams. I recommend you get very familiar with those programs. And that's the bulk of what you're going to do in this position. They have more details. If interested, read through the details. So if you have a bachelor's degree in human resources or a related field and a little bit of experience in human resources or related support experience or equivalent human resources training experience in education, this job has your name on it. Now, they do want you to have basic knowledge of employment law. You're proficient using Microsoft Office products. You have experience using applicant tracking systems or similar platforms. And then, of course, you have all your typical soft skills you need for just about every job. They prefer, but they don't require. They prefer you have prior experience with interview scheduling and coordination. That's just preferred. It's not required. Now, I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the job description because they tell us how much this job pays. It depends on where you live. But if you live in the more expensive to live states such as California, New Jersey, New York, Washington, Hawaii, Alaska, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, or Massachusetts, they tell us they'll pay you anywhere from $44,466 up to $77,881 per year. And then every other state in the United States, it looks like they'll pay you anywhere from $36,381 up to $70,801 per year. So for all of you living in the state of California looking for an entry-level HR position, they tell us in California the typical hiring range is $55,056 up to $67,290 per year. But remember, they're not just hiring in California. This job is nationwide in the United States. So now let's talk about a really good paying work from home job where your main responsibility will be to review vendor information and resolve issues during the onboarding process of vendors. So the company Zapier has an opening for an accounting operations analyst accounts payable. This job is full-time remote anywhere within the United States. I did not see any location restrictions. And you know what? They may also be hiring in Canada. And you probably notice the salary here on the left. In the United States, they tell us they'll pay you anywhere from $81,300 up to $121,900 per year. Plus, they offer equity and bonus. So they tell us they're looking for an experienced accounting operations analyst accounts payable. You'll be responsible for supporting procure-to-pay operations, managing vendor data and onboarding, maintaining accurate accounting records, and contributing to process improvements across the P2P function. Now, I'm considering this to be more entry level because they're really not requiring years and years of related experience. I don't see that anywhere on this job description. To me, this does seem to be entry level. And speaking of what you're going to do in this position, you'll oversee vendor lifecycle management, you'll strengthen accounting processes and documentation, coordinate cross-functional communication, and ensure timely, accurate completion of accounting-related tasks. So this job is not all about paying the company's bills like most accounts payable positions are. You'll oversee the vendor master data records within the procure-to-pay and ERP system, which includes answering vendor questions, following up on vendors' missing information, and determining 1099, 1042 eligibility and resolving issues during the onboarding process. You also perform OFAC and TIN matching processes, review critical vendor fields for missing or incomplete, incorrect data, manage vendor offboarding in the procure-to-pay and ERP system while providing necessary reporting to vendors. And they have more information as far as what you might do on a regular basis. If interested in this job, read through the details. So they're looking for someone who has foundational experience in accounting, procurement, or accounts payable, supported by relevant education or hands-on work. You're willing to take on any task, you're organized, you can manage your time well, you're also resourceful, you're a really good communicator, you have an eye for detail, and you use AI tools in your work on a regular basis. So that sums up this job. In fact, we just went over 3 really good work from home jobs. Hopefully one of them works out for you. And if you're looking for more work from home jobs, come back to this channel frequently because I post work from home job leads almost every day of the week. Your job is out there. All we have to do is find it. Thank you so much for visiting. I truly appreciate your support, and I'll meet you on the next job lead.